In today's fashion landscape, a silent revolution is unfolding. While the early 2000s glorified flashy logos, celebrity drip culture, and maximalist fashion, the ultra wealthy have now pivoted to something far more discreet: quiet luxury. This shift is best seen through pop culture moments like the TV show Succession, Gwyneth Paltrow's ski trial outfits, and the rise of the old money aesthetic. But why are the ultra rich rejecting ostentatious displays of wealth in favor of understated logo free fashion? Is quiet luxury a rebellion against consumerism or just another status game? I want to introduce the core paradox that I've seen with quiet luxury. It looks effortless and understated, but it's actually very expensive and exclusive. A lack of branding does not necessarily mean affordability. In fact, it can even signal an even higher level of wealth and insider knowledge. In this video, I want to break down what quiet luxury is, why it's taken over, and whether it is a more ethical and sustainable approach to fashion, or is it just another way for the ultra rich to differentiate themselves from everyone else. What is quiet luxury? Let's define the aesthetic. Some of you, if you are chronically online, especially in the fashion world, probably already know what this is, but if not, I want to break it down for you. Quiet luxury is characterized by unbranded, discreet designs, ultra premium, high quality materials like cashmere and silk, muted color palettes like beige, gray, navy, and black, and very timeless silhouettes. Some brands that really display this aesthetic are The Row, Loro Piana, Max Mara, Joel Sander, and Brunello Cucinelli. Unlike traditional and loud luxury, which relies a lot more on logos and pop culture influence, think Gucci, Balenciaga, or Louis Vuitton, quiet luxury is meant to be appreciated by those who are in the know, like fashion insiders and old money elites. This is partially due to quiet luxury brands not marketing as overtly as loud and traditional luxury brands. They don't heavily rely on influencers or celebrities or huge marketing campaigns or logos to really show what the brand is. One really clear example of a celebrity who demonstrates the shift from traditional loud luxury into quiet luxury is Jennifer Lawrence. She was once known for her very bold Dior couture moments, but over time her wardrobe has evolved into a more effortless, refined, quiet luxury aesthetic. She's very frequently seen in brands like The Row, Loewe, Bottega Veneta, Max Mara, and Kate. One of her more viral photos is her in this Loewe tank top and wide-legged pant ensemble, which appeared very simple but actually screams luxury in its craftsmanship and fit. Even her 2023 Met Gala after-party look is a minimalist, slinky silver galvan dress, which really epitomizes the essence of quiet luxury. I love Jennifer Lawrence, by the way. I feel like she's kind of an underrated celebrity. My friend just saw her the other day and she said she looked so chill, like you wouldn't even be able to tell that it was her. She just seems like such a normal, chill celebrity, and I love that. The paradox of quiet luxury, how it's hidden yet exclusive. At first glance, quiet luxury appears more restrained and subtle than traditional and loud luxury. However, if we take a closer look or a deeper dive into what quiet luxury really is, it is just as, or if not more, exclusive. For example, if we look at this Gucci hoodie with a massive logo slapped across the front, very loud, very proud, very Gucci style, comparing it to a similar sort of style from Loro Piana, because they definitely don't have any hoodies, not that I know of. Both of these cost a lot of money, but the cardigan is obviously an insane amount of money just for a cardigan. That's literally more than my rent. Despite not having any visible logos or branding, it cost a lot more. Granted, the Gucci hoodie is made from cotton, whereas the Loro Piana cardigan is made from wool, and wool can tend to cost more, especially if it's sourced in a certain way or depending on what type of wool it is, but both are very high quality fabrics. Unless you have a really trained eye, you're a fashion insider, or you're one of the rich and wealthy elite, you're not gonna know that this is a Loro Piana cardigan. So this is a really good example of how the quiet luxury aesthetic seems subtle and maybe attainable, but it can actually be way more inaccessible than the loud and traditional luxury aesthetics. Similarly, we have these two different silk shirts, one from Louis Vuitton, one from the Row. Both are made of 100% silk. The Louis Vuitton one obviously has an eyebrow raising price, whereas the Row, my scalp has detached from my head. Like, take my kidneys, that's the only way I'm gonna pay for this shirt. It almost feels like quiet luxury functions as a secret social code. If you can recognize a $5,000 unbranded coat, then you do belong in the same elite class. But if not, then you remain an outsider. It's a lot like collecting fine art or wine culture. Quiet luxury is really all about knowledge, not just money. Let's watch this TikTok together because I think it's a really good example.
Is it only me, or do you also don't like luxury products that are so obvious? Like when you look at this outfit, it doesn't really look that cool because it's screaming out the brand name all over the clothes. So contrary to the belief of the person who's wearing it, who might be thinking that it looks cool, it just looks like they're trying too much. And moreover, the display of wealth in this way ironically makes them look quite cheap because it looks like it's all for a show or something. But I think it's cool when it's more subtle. Like the ones that don't look like big brands, but when you find out about it later from someone, then that's when you realize that it was way bigger than you thought it was. I think that's called the quiet luxury, where privacy is more emphasized and the logo isn't really shown that much. So like the clothes that are more classic and timeless, like loafers or coats, or high quality jeans or tailored pants. I think if I were to spend my own money to buy products from luxury brands, then I would choose to go for more subtle ones that are more basic and simple, but it's high quality material as well. So even though not many people get to witness or really notice what I'm wearing, I know what I'm wearing and I know that it's good.
I think they make a really good point about privacy that I haven't seen a lot of people talk about, where if you're not wearing something that screams I'm wearing a designer brand, people are probably less likely to come up to you and compliment or, notice what you're wearing. So it's more likely that you're just going to be able to go out, be very well dressed. You might get some compliments, but you probably won't get as much attention as somebody who's wearing a hoodie or a jacket with Louis Vuitton monogram all over it, or a giant puffer jacket that says Prada on the back. He also mentions how he wants to have clothing that has better quality materials in it, which totally makes sense, is very reasonable. So this is coming down more to like having knowledge about clothing and how it's manufactured and what materials are being used, and not just how much things cost. Just because something costs more money doesn't mean it's necessarily better, but if it's comprised of better materials, that would signify to a lot of people that this is a more worthwhile investment. People are more likely to want to invest in it despite the higher price tag. As more and more people, especially people on social media and influencers, really start to realize the power of quiet luxury, what it is and what it looks like, I think this suggests that the power of wealth really lies in its ability to be almost unnoticeable to those who are not inside the circle of being able to access the quiet luxury aesthetic. Essentially, true luxury is also about knowledge, not just money. Why and how is quiet luxury taking over? Let's analyze the cultural and economic aspects of it. Historically, shifts towards minimalism in fashion have really coincided with economic downturns such as recessions and wealth disparities. After the economic crash that happened in 1929, the ultra-rich really started to tone down their fashion. There was also the recession during 2008, which really allowed for the luxury brand Celine and the former creative director Phoebe Philo to become the epitome of quiet luxury with its minimalist designs. This was a very stark shift from flashy into minimalist luxury fashion. We also have the 2020 wealth gap, which was the biggest wealth transfer in modern history, where billionaires were getting richer and richer while social media was really fueling resentment towards people of wealth. This really sparked in turn the whole social trend of the eat the rich backlash. Many celebrities and ultra rich individuals don't want to appear rich anymore, which led a lot of ultra rich individuals to adopt stealth wealth and quiet luxury dressing in order to avoid scrutiny from the public. Social media is another huge aspect of why quiet luxury has become so popular. It has seemed to have made luxury logos and branding and products almost too accessible. A lot of middle class and everyday consumers are now able to afford a lot of logo driven pieces, making them a lot less exclusive. So, this in turn has caused the ultra rich and even wealthy influencers to respond by shifting towards items that cannot be easily replicated or bought by the masses. A really good example of this are all of the Christmas TikTok hauls that we saw all over TikTok in December. There were so many influencers and just everyday kind of people showing what they got for Christmas, and a lot of them were showing off luxury items from huge brands like bags, jewelry, clothing, shoes.
Hi, I just wanted to do a Christmas haul. I just know that there's like a lot of poor people that don't get things like this. And I just wanted to first start off saying I'm very grateful. I'm very grateful for this Christmas haul that my parents worked so hard that they can be able to afford this. Sorry, I have a little sniffle. I just got off the plane from Dubai to New York, all the way back to LA, Beverly Hills area. So let's get started. My first item is a Birkin.
So we really are starting to see that luxury is becoming more accessible for many.
60-second straight thoughts on brace yourself, quiet luxury. Can we please just agree to leave it in 2023? Why? Because we're applying a very real fashion theory and watering it down, taking all of the socioeconomic meaning and throwing it away to the point where we can no longer use the phrase to critique and analyze the actions of the wealthy. I cannot stress how incredibly dangerous this is. Furthermore, I cannot stress how inane it sounds, how wrong it sounds to the ear when we talk about quiet luxury without breeding. See, inconspicuous consumption doesn't matter if you don't have the breeding to back it up. And if we really want to keep it 100, it's not even demonstrating good taste, because at the point where the masses are consuming it, so it doesn't really matter how small that gold embossed lettering is. It's simply not quiet luxury in the hands of the working class.
She brought up a lot of very interesting points during this video. I literally had to watch it twice to really understand what she was saying and be able to break down every point that she was hitting, because she basically wrote like a mini essay and we have a lot to unpack here. Basically what she's saying is that quiet luxury isn't just about money, it's about social breeding, knowledge, and access. If the working class and everyday people were able to afford quiet luxury, it wouldn't be considered as luxury anymore because it would be so accessible and seen everywhere and just overly popularized. It would start to become a dilution of luxury and just be quiet, or not even quiet. It would just be, I don't even know. It would just become everyday clothing. To touch on the point about breeding, she doesn't go into it very overtly what she means, but I think we can kind of ascertain that she's talking about that quiet luxury seems to be most accessible to people who come from a background of privilege, like Nepo babies, politicians, celebrities, actors. If quiet luxury did start to truly become accessible to everyone, people of different backgrounds, races, ethnicities, walks of life, it wouldn't be considered luxury anymore at all. We're seeing now that this trend can be broken down so much more deeply to socioeconomics and class and wealth disparities, and so much more than I'm actually going to cover in this video, but I think it's all very interesting to think about. Now let's talk about pop culture and how the media reinforces quiet luxury. Television and film have played a very significant role in normalizing quiet luxury. For example, we have the Roy family in Succession, which epitomizes this aesthetic from their $2,000 baseball caps to their unbranded yet outrageously expensive coats and other clothing that you might not recognize at first glance. We also have the really popular show The White Lotus, which I've been meaning to watch because I've heard that it's really good. They do a really good job of contrasting the old money characters who wear really subtle, timeless pieces with the more flashy, new money, rich people. There's also Gwyneth Paltrow's ski trowel wardrobe, which became a huge internet sensation for some reason, with her ultra expensive yet very simple outfits, which really perfectly encapsulate what quiet luxury looks like.
No, look, it's very interesting, is this, and it shouldn't matter, but it sort of does as to what she's wearing, what her demeanour is like, all of that. People are talking about that.
Well, people are being
as
quite
much
fascinated.
as, you know, the
And at first I was like, no, this potentially could be quite a serious court case.
Indeed, absolutely.
So why we look at our outfit? But we all are, and I actually don't feel that bad for it.
I found this article breaking down her very subtle, ultra expensive courtroom outfits, where they came from, and just really exemplifying how unless you knew that she was wearing these brands, you would have no idea that she was wearing insanely expensive outfits, which I feel like was either very ironic or iconic to people that she was inadvertently showing so much wealth at her trial. It was really giving, you may be trying to serve me justice, but I'm also going to serve you these looks. Another celebrity who's very much become known for ultra minimalist, expensive basics is Sophia Richie Grange. She has really transformed over time into a modern, old money aesthetic icon. When she had her wedding in 2023 in the south of France, it featured a lot of custom Chanel, which really solidified her as an aspirational face of the old money and quiet luxury aesthetics. Since then, we've seen a lot of timeless silhouettes, luxurious fabrics, and craftsmanship in her style. She's regularly wearing Loro Piana, Chanel, The Row, and Proenza Scholler, all brands known for minimal branding. It's a slight contrast to Jennifer Lawrence, whose quiet luxury aesthetic feels a little bit more natural and low-key and understated, as Sophia leans into the more polished side of the aesthetic, with every outfit feeling more like a curated sort of moment. Jennifer Lawrence's style feels more organic, while Sophia's transition into quiet and old money feels a lot more intentional and almost like a rebranding, which I find very interesting. A lot of luxury brands are also leaning into or dabbling in the quiet luxury aesthetic. We've seen over time, for example, like with Phoebe Philo's return and logo-free designs from brands like Bottega Veneta, which are exceedingly popular. We're also seeing the rise and growing popularity of newer brands like Kate, Toteme, and Tove, which have built into their whole identity this idea of quiet luxury. So is quiet luxury actually better? Let's look at some ethical and social implications. People who are fans of quiet luxury often say that it is a more sustainable trend because it's emphasizing quality over quantity with fewer well-made pieces versus a lot of trend-driven consumption and overt branding. In theory, this does sound more sustainable. However, the extreme price tags that are attached to this style are making it inaccessible to most people. Does this mean quiet luxury is just another form of elitism? This video on TikTok is really critical about it.
Do you think quiet luxury is bullshit? So what they're calling quiet luxury means you're out wearing muted tones, things that are very known to be expensive but understated. So you're not wearing big G's and H's and C's, but you're wearing, cream cashmere from the Row or a $600 notebook in court, which everyone talked about Gwyneth Paltrow doing. But it's loud quiet luxury. I think it's a bag of bullshit because it's like when someone tries so hard to look like they didn't try. It's just another version. People posting on the back of boats saying hashtag blessed or on the veranda of the most expensive hotel in the world at a $1 billion wedding in the south of France. Like, that's just another version of being loud about luxury. So everyone saying that wealth whispers and quiet luxury is really full of their own different luxury brand of bullshit.
Okay, that was pretty funny. I feel like she brought up a good point that a lot of the wealthy that are participating in this aesthetic may just be doing it to try to look rich and try to look wealthy, but in a way that looks like they're not trying, which is very almost kind of hypocritical or paradoxical. Because traditional luxury, for example, was all about being aspirational. If you bought a Gucci branded belt, then you would feel like you were part of the brand and feel like you were a part of the upper class. Quiet luxury, a lot of people say, on the other hand, really thrives on exclusion. And if you don't already know the brand, then you're not supposed to belong. So maybe some people who are wearing this trend are feeling a sense of superiority over those who don't have access or don't know about what it takes to attain this. There's also some people that argue that quiet luxury is an attempt to gentrify fashion and make it less accessible to the masses.
Unpopular opinion. Quiet luxury, minimalist aesthetic apartments and houses, meaning like those beige and white houses only, and the lack of spices and traditional European food all gives the same vibes. It gives gentrification, it gives colonizer, and I will not be explaining further.
Okay, so she's hitting a lot of points here, but basically, I think she's trying to say that quiet luxury is one of those things that rich people use almost as a tool to have power over other people and to display their wealth and show that they think that they're better and that they're superior. Maybe they're using quiet luxury as a way to sort of gentrify fashion and make it less accessible to everyone in the masses. But to play devil's advocate a little bit to this point, I feel like many of the people who embrace this quiet luxury aesthetic might not even identify their style as quiet luxury. Maybe they just truly prefer classic and timeless clothing and they're not trying to actively participate in a sort of status or wealth game. I mean, I'm not personally in the minds of anyone ultra rich, so I can't really know truly what their motivations are for being a part of this style. Because as I touched on earlier, quiet luxury seems to be a lot about knowledge of high quality materials and wanting to truly curate an elevated, long lasting, versatile wardrobe. I also saw a really interesting point brought up by this person.
If you dress in a Charlotte York luxurious, rich kind of way, instead of the teeny tiny, girlish mini dress with ballet flats and bows and roses and hair in a ponytail, will the type of guy you're trying to attract like the rich bitch, modest, understated you? Or will they like the coquette, ballerina, baby girl you? Because as we know, men generally seek out younger women, which is gross.
I read the comments under this video and a lot of people seem to focus more on how she's talking or that she's not being very concise maybe, but I can understand what she's trying to say. I think what she's trying to say is that people who dress in the quiet luxury aesthetic are not trying to appeal to men necessarily. They're really dressing for themselves, and it's really touching on avoiding the male gaze or not participating in the male gaze because traditionally men are more psychologically almost enticed more by women who dress in a more sort of bubblegum pop, feminine, girly sort of style. So basically like Mary-Kate and Ashley Olsen versus Sabrina Carpenter. Which side would most men say has more sex appeal and they're more attracted to? I think we know the answer. So there seems to be a lot of different motivations why one might participate in the quiet luxury style. I think it's really important to note. It's not necessarily about inclusion or exclusion. So will quiet luxury last? If you know about fashion, then you know that fashion is historically cyclical, and right now we're seeing signs that maximalism is returning. Many of the designer collections we've seen, especially for spring-summer 2025, have displayed a lot of overt branding, lots of monograms, logos, shorter silhouettes, animal textures, bright pops of colors, glitz, glam, bedazzling, everything, you name it. Along with the power of social media and how micro trends seem to pop up every day, this really begs the question of whether quiet luxury will become mainstream or remain a niche trend that shows up every so often. I noticed that a lot of influencers, especially on TikTok, are already expressing their boredom with quiet luxury.
You know what? And since I'm here, another thing. Can we stop saying, oh my god, Sophia Richie is my style icon and inspiration? We can tell because you're all wearing black, white, and beige. It's so boring. Next.
She's obviously tired of quiet luxury and she thinks it's boring and it's just monochrome and basic, which is fine, to each their own. If everybody dressed the same, it would obviously be boring, and that's the beauty of fashion, is that people disagree, people have different points of views, and they have their own style.
The theatrics of early 2000s haute couture is back. Who remembers the amazing Christian Dior runways by Jean Galliano in the early 2000s? Because he just brought it back for Margiela. Pat McGrath is back, proving how amazing and talented she is, because the fact that this is makeup, it's mine. Like, this is glass skin, like actual glass skin. It's giving porcelain doll. My mind is blown. Like, this is not AI. This is real life. I hope Pat McGrath's hands are insured for billions and billions of dollars because she bejeweled an ear. Crazy. She couldn't just do a cast or mold because every person's ear is different, so she literally did it to each model. I love her work with Schiaparelli because it's such a surrealist brand, like the time where she literally made someone a human chandelier. I am so happy this era of fashion is back. If you need to reach me, just know I'll be at the Vivrel showroom, borrowing all the handbags and jewelry that are the opposite of quiet luxury. Because opulence is back, baby.
I have to agree with her, that show was absolutely mesmerizing, and I think everybody was riveted when they saw it come out, especially with the makeup that Pat McGrath did. I mean, she's just always killing it. It's so impressive. There really seems to be such a tug of war between people who love individuality and traditional loud luxury over people who like quiet luxury and the exclusivity yet conformity that it almost brings. This video is from one of my favorite creators in fashion, Data But Make It Fashion, and they really use research to back up their fashion opinions and reporting that they do. And it really feels like when people use data-driven analysis to predict changes in fashion and they're seeing that quiet luxury is declining, maybe it really won't last. My personal opinion is that, I mean, we don't know the future, we don't know how long the recession we seem to be entering into is gonna last, but pretty much any time that we have a recession, minimalism, quiet luxury, and even the office siren aesthetic seems to really come back. Muted colors, simple, classic, timeless silhouettes, shades of gray, black, white, beige, they really start to trend. To me, there's no way that quiet luxury can't return on a cyclical basis because of the nature of our capitalist society and the economy, which I personally am happy about because I love to wear muted monochrome colors and I enjoy curating a timeless wardrobe. Let's conclude by revisiting our original question. Is quiet luxury the biggest lie in fashion? Is quiet luxury the future of fashion, or is it just another way for the elite to stay ahead of the curve? Is it about investing in underconsumption and high quality materials, or is it about exclusivity, a show of wealth, or even gentrification in fashion? Quiet luxury aims to present itself as a rejection of wealth signaling, but in reality, it's one of the most exclusive forms of status dressing. While it may appear humble, it can actually be a very sophisticated and subtle way for the ultra-rich to separate themselves from the rest of society. I want to know what you guys think about the questions that I've raised in this video. So that's everything that I wanted to share in today's video. This was my first time making this kind of in-depth sort of analysis slash personal essay type of video. I have made a video in the past about the office siren aesthetic, but I didn't go nearly as in-depth as I did in this video about the quiet luxury aesthetic. So it was really interesting for me to do a lot of research and listen to a lot of different opinions about the topic. I hope you guys found this interesting, and I'd love to keep making these kind of videos if you guys enjoy them. Please let me know all your thoughts about everything that I've discussed today, and I'll see you again very soon.